Hello and welcome to Showstar's House, a show where we discuss conversations that are, topics that are driving the conversations in the country. And obviously, we would like to apologize for bringing this program a bit later than advertised. But obviously, right now we're good. Today we have been joined by a politician, a father figure in terms of the country, and also he's a media personality. He's Kelvin Waliafube, and popularly known as KBF. He is also a president of Zambia Must Prosper political party. Sir, thank you very much for making time for us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the viewers who are watching us today.
And also, we'd like to appreciate you for allowing us into your space.
No, that's fine. It's a free country.
Thank you. So, at a later stage, we'll be able to allow our listeners and viewers, to be able to come through and bring in their contributions. The line is on the screen as we speak. I don't know if I should call you Council or Mr. President. Which one?
President is fine for now. We're doing politics.
Yes.
I'm not in court.
Thank you. So, Mr. President, for people that don't know much about KBF, who is KBF?
My name is Kelvin Fube Bwalia. Fuberia Pamutoto. So actually my surname is Bwalia. I was born in Muflera. My late parents, Mr. Eric Benson Bwalia. My late mother, Florence Kasomo Bwalia. They both were working in Muflera at Ronald Ross Hospital when they met, got married. I've been raised in the United Church of Zambia as a church, Sunday school, Boys Brigade, youth. Right now, I am an MCF and an elder in the Trinity Congregation of the United Church of Zambia, just here along Church Road.
Wonderful.
I transferred from Muflera's UCZ in 1986 when I came for my studies here. And that's how I've stayed at Trinity. I am born out of a family of 6. My late older brother is Humphrey Kasonde Bwalia. I'm the second born. I had a younger sister immediate after me, Diana Chongo Bwalia. She's late. She was Mrs. Chota. After Diana, there's Charity Chanda Bwalia. She's married. She's in the United States with her husband, Reverend Maidstone Mulenga. After her, we lost another sister, Patricia Bwalia. And then Kalast Bon Kakasuri Beverly Nonde Bwalia. She came rather late in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, after my father's politics and everything like that. But we were 6, now we are 3. 3 are gone. My parents are also gone. I'm the oldest in the family now. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I've been doing this job for 35 plus years. So that's in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Wonderful. Was it always a dream to be a lawyer?
Always.
And a politician?
My father's incarcerations, when my father was being arrested, the many times that he got arrested under the Kaunda regime, that's what forced me into law, because I always wondered why my father was being arrested. He and his colleagues had joined Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe, the late former vice president,
Yes.
when he formed UPP. And they were like an opposition to UNIP.
Yes.
So now the harassments and things. So there was, at that time, the preservation of public security being used against most opposition members in the opposition front at the time. So they were being arrested most of the time. I recall visiting him once at maximum prison in Kabwe.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him when he was coming home. And he said, not quite a lawyer, to court. Then I asked him, what do lawyers do? And he told me. From that moment, in my mind, as a child, I want to be a lawyer. Because I want to help my father come home, but also to help people in his situation as well. So from then, nothing else.
And then when did you pick the interest to be a politician?
From my father's times.
Your father was in the politics.
The many times that my father was being arrested several times. As my father was the regional secretary for UNIP. He was the mayor for Muflera several times. He was the youth secretary several times. In the region of the Copper Belt, batataba Sinkamba, batataba Mchereka, batataba John Chisata, Bachambeshi, Bakalenga, those were his friends. And those were the Kapwepo boys, if I may say that. So I knew that clique. From the Indian side, there was Vijay Solanki and Kanabai Patel.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the Indian businessmen who were supporting the movement of my father, the Kapwepwes and stuff like that.
Wonderful. Very good intro, Mr. President. Let's come to now. You were one of the few people who had an opportunity to meet the 60th Republican President, Edgar Lungu, before his demise.
Yes.
I wanted to know, when you went to South Africa, was the visit upon his invitation or it was your own?
We met.
Yes, I know you met.
I know, we met.
He was in South Africa, you were here.
You know the problem with some of the questions, we push him about journalists.
Yamkwai.
You don't know that in some of those questions is a carried innuendo of a fight with friends. Like, why wasn't I invited? Why was he invited? Why did he go? Chavana Mudiana Mudiana Mudiana. The important thing is we met.
Yes.
Yeah, and the 6th Republican president was in a secluded place. He was in a place where if he didn't want to see you, you didn't see him.
Yes. Okay. So he wanted to see you.
He wanted to see me.
Yes. I'm interested to know if there's anything you can share from the conversation when you met.
It was about the unity in Tonse. It was about the future of the country. It was about his vision for the country. Obviously reminiscing the things we had been through, the things we had discussed, how we were going to move Tonse going forward, the members who are applying to join Tonse, some of the reservations, some of his own observations, and the advice he was giving as a father figure at the time. It was also about how we were going to, politics involves friends.
Yes.
Which friends we're going to go with and which friends we're going to work with.
Yes.
So those kind of discussions, general, some specific, some detailed, some superfluous, but those were the discussions.
Were you only the two of you or there were other members involved in
Whenever
the meeting?
I spoke to Lungu politics and whenever we had to discuss something in detail, one-on-one. Two. Even when here, in Zambia, whenever he invited me to have a conversation with him, and he said, Ndefo Kulanda Naiwe, it didn't matter who was around, he'd throw everybody out. Danny Siwo, Chanda Kabwe, Richard Musukwa, Chomba, the former PS, even his ADC Bachanda, he would tell everybody, Fumina and Pants, Ndefo Kulanda Naiwe. So to me, my conversations with the late former president were personal, one-on-one. That's it.
Wonderful. I've come across a conversation where that suggests that you, KBF, you are the anointed one from ACL to take over the leadership of the Tonse Alliance. I'd like to find out if there's any truth to that, and also was that part of that conversation you had when you went to South Africa?
Our discussions were personal, and I think right now I'd rather respect the mourning period that we're in. Let's mourn. Let's also allow the family their privacy.
Yes.
We'll get to discuss those matters at the right time.
Okay. We'll talk about the anointing conversation later on, not now.
No, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it at the right time.
After the funeral.
After the funeral.
Gates will be open for discussion.
Thank you. We'll come back and set up again, and then
Not
we'll
a
have this
problem.
conversation.
Not a problem.
You also indicated the need to fulfill his wish to unite Tonse.
Yes.
I would like to know how you exactly intend to do that.
Well, we had a roadmap. As you recall, the president had mentioned after the December 10th judgment about his non-eligibility, he had mentioned that he had Plan B. And we're going to execute Plan B. That's the Plan B. All our discussions were now centered around Plan B. And that's what we're going to execute.
Some people believe that ECO himself was Plan B.
No.
Some people believe that there was another Plan B.
There was a Plan B.
The Plan B is still intact.
It's still there.
Okay, and we're not yet mentioning or revealing who. Or are we at the stage where we can tell people? Are we at the stage where we can tell people who the Plan B is? Because a lot of people think
I
that.
thought I just answered you, and I told you we'll get to that after the funeral.
After the funeral.
Avena Zambia.
I hope most of my questions will not be pushed to after the funeral.
Jackson. We are Africans.
Mkwai.
We are Zambians at that. Let's be very clear that we're in a mourning period.
Yes.
We don't want to be going too hard into politics right now and stirring up hornet's nests for no reason. No.
Thank you.
Let's respect the former president's wishes.
Yes.
Let's respect the former president's family's privacy.
Yes.
The mourning period. All these political things, they'll come up. Don't worry.
Definitely. So also one thing we've picked up is that the leaders of the alliance, especially the presidents, in the past, most of them would want to be the leaders of the alliance.
It's normal. It's very normal. The question is, you want to be a leader of Tonse? You want to lead the alliance? Do you have the capacity? Do you have the networks? Do you have the financial muscle? Do you have the strategic thinking to beat Haga in the Ichilema? Have you got enough experience? Are you grounded? Are you the kind of leader whose face the Zambians can gravitate to and believe this is the leader we want? It's not always the people who make the loudest noise who make the good leaders. No. For example, Lungu was not very talkative, but there he was. He proved to be a good leader. There are people who are trying to take advantage, even in this funeral. They're speaking the loudest, making a lot of postings about this funeral, trying to think they were the closest to Lungu and things like that. That's not the point. No. Leadership is about character. And sometimes character is seen through principle. What do you stand for? Who are you? The Zambians know who their leaders are. And speaking for myself, I think when I say something, especially to do with the law, protecting the constitution, the Zambians know where I stand. I believe that. So anybody would want to lead Tonse. But somewhere along the line, and as we begin to make moves towards leadership, it will become clear who's able to dethrone Haga in the HLM.
So is it a possibility to have conversations with everybody close to leading Tonse to say, this, can we take this direction? Or it will have to be a situation where everybody can do what they want and eventually we're going to find a leader?
No. Like I said, we all seem to be pushing and pulling, shoving in different directions because we're in a funeral state. And like I said before, some people don't know how to handle emotions. Some people get very hyper. Others are calm. Some of us want to think through things. And we just don't want to rush. So sometimes we think we're talking when we're not talking. Sometimes we think we're crying when we're not crying. So at an appointed time, Tonse will have to call what we term as a council of leaders.
Yes.
We'll sit. We'll discuss. But right now, we can't be having too many meetings when we have a situation which is at stake.
Hand. Yes.
And that stake is a stalemate, this impasse between the government and the family of the late president. That has to be resolved. We have to know where the remains of president will be put to rest. That's what's important right now. So we all seem to be pushing and shoving because of that impasse. But after that, we'll all come together and move.
All right. I had a question, but then you've mentioned something else, but I'll come back to it as well.
Right.
When that time comes, when the council of presidents or leaders come together to decide who may be the flag bearer for Tonse, are you in a position to support someone else if you're not the one who's picked? You as KBF.
If I think that person can beat Hakainde Hichilema, yes. Not any Tom, Dick, and Harry, no. I've got to be very honest to the Zambians. I've got to be brutally honest. If the person we're going to discuss and point to as a leader can, one, unify Tonse, and I'm confident he can beat Hakainde Hichilema, yes. Because that's the adversary. That's the mark we are looking at. That's the mark we must beat. But if you just come up and say, no, Jackson Piri, now on Tonse, can you beat Hakainde Hichilema yourself? I'll say no. He's not qualified. And I'll give my reasons. If the others think we should take a vote, we vote, and I'm outvoted, so be it.
From where you stand, do you see 2 or 3 members from Tonse who are more qualified to beat Hakainde Hichilema than you?
You want me to judge my friends now?
Yes, because of the guidelines you gave me. You should have seen them by now because of where we're coming from. The influence, you gave a lot of guidelines. You should have seen them by now.
You're not being fair.
You should have seen them by now.
No, but you're not being fair.
You should have seen them. You should know your colleagues if they've got the caliber you talked about, if they've got the influence, if they have the financial mass. So you should have known by now. You should know by now.
Let me put it to you this way.
Let
me put it to you this way. It is unfair to discuss people when they're not there to defend themselves. My colleagues, you can take your equipment, go and set up, interview them. You judge. Let the Zambians be the judge, not me.
Mr. President, I didn't ask for names, and I just said from where you stand and the members that you have, what you have.
But you want me to discuss other people. I don't think politically it's correct. With due respect to Apiri. No.
I understand.
No. These are my colleagues. I sit with them on the Council of Leaders table. And I can't be disparaging them in public. We know each other, if that's the question you want. We all know each other. We know our abilities. We know our capabilities. We know our financial standings. We know our backgrounds. We all know each other. Let's leave it at that. When we're at the table, we all know each other. That's where we'll start from.
Being fair would be, I know my friends, I know a couple that are able to stand. Or for now, or maybe that question is telling me we can't have that conversation right now because I know my friends.
No, that judgment will be made by the Zambians, eventually anyway.
Okay, great. So, Mr. President, has there been, there have been allegations circulating that former President Edgar Lungu passed away due to the current UPND government's allegedly denying him permission to travel abroad for specialized medical treatment. To you, as a political leader and someone with insight into national affairs, do you believe that that his death was as a result of this alleged delay? I would like to pick your mind on this situation.
Undeniably, our former Republican president, Edgar Lungu, was ill. I didn't know the seriousness of his illness myself until quite late, which he whispered to me. And I then realized, yes, he needed medical attention. But it is also in public domain that this UPND government has not been quite fair. It has not been quite helpful, timely, helpful with regard to most political foes. In mind comes the late Edith Nawakwi. Yes, there could have been maneuvers, maybe at the 10th, 11th hour, to bring Edith to the fore so that government could help. But everybody knows that on 2-3 occasions, Edith was stopped at the airport from flying out to India for her reviews by this government. You can't fly out without passing through immigration. You know that.
Yes.
And when the doctors who are attending to you for medical tell you, come back in 4 months, they mean 4 months, not 2 years later. Delays like that are costly. We were burying Edith in April. This is June. We have another death of another prominent, if not higher, leader in the name of Edgar Lungu as a president. I did voice out at Edith's funeral. I said, we should not be hypocritical when we're offering help. I am not blaming the UPND government per se. I am blaming their conduct. Because illnesses come. And nobody knows but God when we are going to go. But if we could have helped somehow prolong that life, and I'll have allowed Edith Nawagu to get medication at an appointed time, allowed Walungu to go for his reviews much earlier. That's what the common man on the street is saying, Sembe. Nga bali basuminisha kolimbi, we would not be in this state. That thought process, you can't take away that from a common man. And if you ask me that question, in a way, yes, the UPND is responsible because they were blocking the review procedure which the doctors had. This is how government works, Wapiri, and I hope you allow me a bit of latitude here.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hakainde Hichilema is the president of this country. He has information at his fingertips about his former presidents, his predecessors, what documents they signed, whatever they did, whoever they engaged with. And if needs be, he can have access to their medical records. He's a president because he needs to know who he's dealing with and why they're asking for his help. So it is difficult for me to believe that he didn't know. He knew. In 2015, Walungu was collapsing at Hero Stadium. He was president. That should have sent a signal. He's not well. Everybody knew that. You understand where I'm going? Now, when you are in a higher office, such as the presidency, more information comes to you. So, and fast. When you want it, they'll give it to you. So at that point, Ubuntunse suggests very strongly he should have known what his brother was suffering from. And he should have been more proactive and involved in trying to ensure that we preserve that life and not block him unnecessarily from leaving the country.
You think the blockings are blessings from the higher office?
Unfortunately, in politics, the buck stops with the president. You don't tell me that when Edgar Lungu was blocked from leaving the country, Hakainde Hichilema didn't know. He did. So why didn't he call them to order? That's what I'm talking about. That's leadership. Because if something is being done by my minister at Home Affairs, whom I have given delegated authority, he acts on my behalf, and I get wind of it, and I don't like it, I'll call him to order. So why didn't he? If you don't, politically, it means you have agreed. That's the problem I have here. He may not have known, but the point is politically, people will assume he knew.
I saw a post earlier on that suggested that our former president was late for, I don't know if it's reviews or going for medication for 2 years.
Yes.
What does it speak to our oncologists around the country? We couldn't even start from here if we were blocked to go outside? We don't have people that are
I'll give you a practical example.
professional enough.
I hope my brother doesn't get upset with me, but it's out of the court realm now. I was one of the lawyers handling GBM's case. I'm just giving an example. We had specialists from the heart hospital who came to court in GBM's case who were telling the magistrate handling GBM's case, he needs specialized treatment. We can treat it here, but our equipment as a nation has been down since 2019. It hasn't been maintained, it hasn't been repaired, so we don't have the equipment. So much as we can treat it, right now we can't. So it needs to go either to South Africa or to India. That was in the case of GBM. It's the same thing with our cancer hospital. Some of our deaths, especially in cancer, It's not because the doctors can't handle. No, it's because we don't have the equipment. Or the equipment has broken down. And the doctors, their hands are tied. So they don't know what to do with you. So it's not so much that we don't have the specialization to deal with it. It's the lack of equipment. And when government doesn't want to have equipment put in hospitals, but it wants to increase the number of seats in parliament, I have a problem. I have a big problem. Because then you're not being sensitive to the needs of the people. The needs of the people go to basics. Medicine, hospitals, schools, housing, food on the table. That's basic. Now, if you're trying to do superficial things like, no, we need more representation of women, more representation of youth, that's superstructure. The Zambians are not interested in that. Ubunga nishinga.
There are more pressing
Bread
issues.
nishinga.
There are more pressing issues than...
Transport you from Uptown ukiwa ku Chelston nishinga. From here to Chirenje, from here to Matero. That's what Zambians want to know. Na muwe fertilizer. Not isho mlenjeba.
I want to know, you've been very close with, I think, almost all the presidents from maybe...
Thankfully, yes.
Yes. Has this conversation ever come up to say, can we build like maybe one specialized, very big hospital where we don't really have to fly, especially people that are privileged and they're able to afford, they'll fly.
Yes.
But like ordinary people like me, we will not be able to fly.
No.
Have you ever been in these situations where powerful people are having this conversation and probably even planning to give us a hospital like that?
Yes, many times. Many times. Starting from the time Ziabachuluba, carried through Mwanawasa, Basata. I heard those conversations in the corridors. Some of them on this table where you are sitting. I've been strategically involved in planning elections for a lot of presidents, so I know.
And I'll come to that. How far do they go in terms of implementation, those stories? Because we need a hospital.
We do need that, and this is where the political will comes in. So for me, it's about your priorities. As a leader, where do you place your priorities? If you as a leader are going to place your priorities in trying to talk about delimitations, in trying to have the Minister of Justice going around the country to discuss with the chiefs about how the constitution must be amended when people are dying, then you've got your priorities wrong. That's wrong. If you as a president are not sensitive to the Zambian people's basic needs, but you want to be flying around the country and beating all the former presidents in the number of flights you've taken as a president and the expenses that the president incurs when he's flying, then you've got your priorities wrong. So for me, it's a question of character, leadership style. Get your basics right. Get your priorities set right.
You brought about delimitation.
Yes.
I want to know, with the Bill 7, Bill 7 of 2025, are there any components that you appreciate?
No, not in the manner it has been presented to the Zambian people. I don't even want to discuss any part of Bill 7 of 2025. It's illegitimately before the Zambian people, illegitimately before the public domain. And I'll explain. In law, we have a principle that when a precedent has been set, either by precedent or by law, about how you commence litigation, how you commence a court action, if the way you commence the court action or the precedent you want to invoke is wrong, the court won't listen to you. Why? Because you began the process wrong. If I go to court, instead of using a writ of summons, I use an originating summons, the court will say, I have no jurisdiction. You came before me, you have a legitimate claim, but you used the wrong process. So I am saying the UPND government is going to the Zambian people using the wrong method. So we can't discuss it. The procedure is wrong. So it's non-discussable. I don't even want to I have read it. I don't want to go into any of those specifics or otherwise because the process, the mode of commencement is wrong.
They have an argument. They say that there's no law that we have broken as the UPND government. So the fact that we do not have...
I did tell Tabo Kawana, I have told Max Sumue the two spin doctors of the UPND, that they've breached Article 7, subclause D of the Zambian Constitution. And that speaks to our tradition. Our precedents have been set. The precedent set is the tradition of setting and changing government. I mean, the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia is, first of all, we have one, a legitimate document, a process, an organ set up. That's the organ that will go around the country, get the views of the Zambian people, and then present that as a white paper or blue paper to government, which is then presented to parliament. That's not what's happening here. It is the executive that has started the process. That is wrong. We can't start in reverse gear. No, it can't work.
So if
That's what I meant by commencing the process wrongly. We can't proceed. We can't start. If you commence your litigation, you commence your process legally, wrongly, the court won't hear you. The court will tell you have no jurisdiction. You should have sued by petition. Don't come in. Let me explain so that Zambians understand. Mwebena Zambia, like I said, I don't like these students of law trying to confuse Zambians. Law. I'll give you a practical example.
Please.
If we have a petition, an election petition, as for a member of parliament or for the president, and it has to go either to constitutional court or to the high court. You get that? Someone has lost an election and they want to petition.
Yes.
Instead of using a petition, they use a writ of summons. That case is dead on arrival. No matter how many good grounds you've put there, the court will say, you've commenced the process wrongly. You've come here by writ of summons. You should have used the petition.
What is the other animal you're mentioning, the writ of summons? The petition, we have an...
All these are commencement, modes of commencement.
Yes.
Modes of approaching the courts. But the court says, for this particular type of case, come using this document.
Oh, okay.
For this particular type of case, come using this petition.
So you can't get this document.
You can't
to
use
go
this
and
one
start.
to come here.
Okay.
It is like you, Jackson Piri, you're married. You want to divorce your wife. You use the writ of summons. The court will tell you no. You have to go by petition. Why? Because when you go to court, you have to verify the petition. Do you understand? You can't use a writ of summons to take your wife to court and therefore divorce.
Tafiwomba.
You may have good grounds, but the court will say your mode of commencement is wrong. Use the correct procedure. Then you can approach the court. That's what I'm telling the Zambians. The UPND government has gone to the Zambian people to try and amend the constitution using the wrong commencement procedure. And that's the problem we have here. You can't go to court using the wrong commencement. The court will tell you, no, you have a court, you have a case, but commencement is wrong. Go and start again.
What's the best chance for people like you who are opposing that to stop the process?
I have given the Attorney General 14 days, which is running. A week has gone now. He's got 7 more days to respond. And after that, we have to go to court. Now, even when I've said I'm going to court, if I go to court suing the Attorney General wrongly, the court will say, yes, Babu Alia, namkwata grievance, but come to us properly. That's what the court will tell me. Mode of commencement is very important.
Great. I'm asking the president 2 more questions, and the public can come in. Please, there's a number on the screen. Just be ready to call in and ask a question or two that you have for President KBF from Zambia must prosper.
Me, I actually want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to people.
People might have a question or two that they might want to advance to you. President, there seems to be a stalemate between the government and ECL's family on the repatriation of his remains from South Africa. Right. I want to pick your mind what you think about the whole situation.
Undeniably, the Lungu family is grieving. And I know Bamayowa Esther Lungu is, for lack of a better term, she's angry. And you can't take that away from her. She's angry. Angry in the manner the late president was treated, angry in the manner her children have been treated, angry in the manner she as former First Lady has been treated, and rightly so, justifiably so. She's angry. She's hurting, grieving, hurting, disappointed, angry. All these emotions are running through her. I also know that members of the ECO family, he may have his uncles, his brothers, his sisters, his nephews, his children, extended family. They are also hurting. This is a normal reaction to death, especially when you've got a finger to point at someone who you think is responsible. It is normal. But having said that, two things come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
One, ECO is not an ordinary person, even in death. And I want to correct the perception here by my young brother. Is it Munsha? Some ambassador in Australia.
Yeah, it's Elias Munsha.
Yeah. Who was saying to Zambians that, no, Lungu is just an ordinary person after death. You can't claim anything, blah, 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 and the blah, 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 and the blah, blah, blah. You know, Jackson and my fellow Zambians, and we are Zambians. Huh? We've got a tradition, we've got a culture, and we must be sensitive when we speak. I'll give an example. Queen Elizabeth II took over the reins of power in England at the age of 18, 19. She was very young. I think she had come to Zambia, gone to Kenya, then the father died, and they had to whisk her back to England to go and take over the throne. And she stayed on that throne for over 60 years plus. When she died, was she an ordinary person? The whole world, and I'm saying all world leaders were in England to see off the monarchy in death. Why? If she, in her death, was just an ordinary person, they should have just handed over the body. Kuri Charles, hey, William, sit here, discuss how you're going to bury her. We're carrying on with our lives. It didn't happen. World leaders flew there. There was a 21-man gun salute. There was the fly past, a march past. Why? Because even in death, she was a queen. Do you understand where I'm going?
Yes, yes.
You cannot take away the legacy of Edgar Chagwa Lungu having been our 6th Republican president and former commander-in-chief of this country. Were the differences between him and Daka Inde Ichilema? Yes. Were they resolved? No. Is there rumor that he gave up some of his benefits? Yes. But did he give up his title that he was once 6th Republican president? He can't. That's historical. Let me finish. This view that Munsha was propelling, that the body of ECO must just be given to the family, and the family must just carry on as if Edgar was just a person coming from Chawama. No. Edgar's status had changed. His status had been elevated to that of president. In death, he's a former president. He still deserves his honors, his privileges, and his respect. I am pleading, I'm appealing to the family. Please, landeni na bamayo ba Esther. Landeni na bana. Abena Tasila. Abena Wiri. Chieso. Dadiso. Talk to the children. Talk to the uncles. We are not saying that Edgar did not have a tribe. He did. Did he have a tradition? He did. He was in Nsenga. What is the Nsenga tradition? When a man of the family dies, the family has a say. Let's hear that. Even keeping that tradition, we must also look at what are the provisions of the law for how we bury a former president. This has been done before. Now, I am saying this from a legal perspective. I might upset a few people, and I don't intend to. But you can't, for instance, you said in my introduction, who is KBF? I told you who I am. Legally, you can see my books here. I wear that hat as a lawyer. But I'm also a husband. I'm a father. But I'm also a Christian, a churchgoer. I've got friends. I've got relatives. I'm just not one person you can come and say, no, because of Chaba. No. If I died today, I have the honor of at least having a valedictory service at the High Court because I'm a lawyer. I have the honor of being buried by my church at the Trinity, UCZ, because I am a member of the Men's Christian Fellowship. But also I've grown up in the church. So all these hats that I wear, you have to balance. Those are issues which we have to look at so we can give the family their own family traditional side. But also look at Edgar with what he was entitled to. Let's not deny him that. And I'm pleading. I don't intend to annoy people.
So they
I'm
say
just
that
saying
he
let's be
relinquished
objective.
his benefits. That's why some people are coming up saying that
those differences that were there between him and Hakainde Hichilema, those differences that were there when he was PF president and the UPND president, those must be put aside.
Don't you agree that the constitution of Zambia says that if you decide to come back in the ring, then some of the benefits must be taken away from you?
No, it's not the constitution. There's a specific act. I think it's Act number 15. It talks about the presidential burial.
Yes.
How do we bury a former president? It's not a constitution. It's an act of parliament. There are rules. There are stipulations about how we carry on such formality. That's what I'm saying. Let's not ignore our tradition. Grant the family whatever wishes they want traditionally and whatever they want to do. But legally, there's also a law about how we handle this particular death, because this man had acquired the status of
Commander-in-Chief.
Yes, he was Commander-in-Chief. His former generals and those currently serving would like to say goodbye to their former Commander-in-Chief. I'll tell you an example. Recently, we had a general died. Is it Chisuzi? Air Force commander, or I don't know what he was. There were soldiers lined up from Cathedral right through to the graveyard. Why? That is how you bury a general. He was not a general. He had retired. Do you understand?
Yes, my producer says that there's a lot of phone calls.
No, the phone calls can wait. Me, I'm more interested in talking to you. And the Zambians can wait. You see, some of these callers, they just want to talk, make noise.
It's probably people that want to support you.
No, I don't care about the support right now. So I think the Zambians need to understand that we need to educate each other. And when we're speaking about the law, let the law take its course.
Yes, yes.
When we are speaking about tradition, let tradition take its course. And the two are not exactly at loggerheads. They can move together seamlessly.
What do you think is, because there have been two discussions so far as I'm concerned, what do you think is causing the stalemate right now?
What I think is causing the stalemate is the lack of communication, engagement. The family has not been engaged. I am aware, and I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm aware that my brother, the Secretary of the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, is in South Africa. He's head of government. Okay? He's responsible for all the former presidents, how they are buried and whatever. His office is anyway, not him as a person. So I am aware that he has responsibilities to carry out. So that is why he's trying to engage the family. But there must be other members of the family also who need to be engaged. Nabamaeva Esther, Tasila, Chiesu, Daliso, and the other uncles, relatives, nephews, like that. Because this is a family matter. We can't take advantage of this. But I will tell you, there are some people who are trying to benefit out of this confusion. We can't allow that. No. Ulelila Mzambia, ichiwemba chitila, ulelila, tatumuchewa kukanwa. A lot of things come out of their mouths, sometimes insults. Be careful. They don't mean them. All they're trying to express is, I'm hurting. I'm angry. Something is wrong with me at the moment. Release me out of this pain. But tomorrow, what
do you think about the president's national address last night?
Aga in the Ichilema's address?
Yes.
I don't want to talk about the protocols. I saw a lot of things wrong. But the message was there. He tried to get a message across. He was trying to preach unity. That I agree with. He was trying to preach togetherness. That I agree with. Something was lacking. I expected the president to be magnanimous enough to apologize to the Lungu family in the manner he treated the late president. It may not have been him personally, but his party and his government, how they treated Edgar Chagwa, that apology is pending. Because, sometimes an apology soothes. It quenches the anger. It reduces the temperature. And it also helps foster a general overview of how the president is looking at this thing. But here's one thing. The president stood there, and I don't mean to criticize, I just mean to make observations. The president stood there. I did not see that orange flag, which is a symbol, one of the symbols of power. I did not see the Zambian flag. The president stood on a plain screen. What was that? What was that? He was nicely dressed, yes, but his symbols of power were not there. His symbols of unity, this flag, I didn't see. The orange flag, I didn't see. Why was he standing? It's not a fight. Why was the program recorded? I have problems with that. I would have wanted the president to address the nation with the symbols of power, seated and talking to us as a father figure, calming the situation. That to me came off like the president was compelled, forced to make a statement. But credit to him, he came out. He made a statement. And we have received the statement. That's why you found me in my office. We are calm. We are waiting. What is the government of the UPND doing to resolve the impasse down south? We are waiting. We shall hear.
Do you think they missed an opportunity to give an update on the impasse?
They have no update to give. That's why they don't have anything to say. Patrick Kangwa has been there for days now, okay? Have we received any report about how it's going, who has been spoken to, how they've engaged Vamayowa Esther, how they've engaged my young brother Makebi Zulu? He's the lawyer for the family. He has to be engaged. He knew, as a lawyer, I'm speaking now as a lawyer, as counsel to a client, the client will confide in you. The client will tell you things. He might have written certain instructions. Who knows? These are issues for me which you need to dig out. Okay? Makebi has thrown one or two punches about some wishes that Lungu may have made. That is why he needs to be engaged more. What else? So, is there a way that some of these things that Lungu said or didn't say can be resolved and met halfway? Who can do it? Who? Vapiri, Mwema Zambians, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just giving an overview. Here's my view. Who you send to represent you, Vapiri, as Shibukombe in a marriage, in a reconciliation, also matters. Who was government sent there? Patrick Kangwa is secretary of the cabinet, is neutral. But other people, maybe Vamayowa Esther is not comfortable with them. So you're just building walls. And the walls are being built higher and higher. There will be no conversation. Send the right people. Can't this government find out who the friends to Esther are? Who amongst the relatives where Esther is comfortable talking to? so that she can pour out her heart.
From the legal point of view,
Yes.
is it a possibility to have this funeral and sideline the sitting president?
Legally, it's a wish.
It's a wish.
But it's almost impossible because when the other heads of state come here, they'll have to meet the host president. And as they meet the host president, he's part of the funeral, whether you like it or not. You understand? And in any case, when it comes to landing here at KKIA, we have a problem. The ZAF Air Commander who controls the airspace of Zambia falls under the Commander-in-Chief who's Hakainde Hichilema right now. So if he says, don't let them land, what are we going to do? It's another impasse. So it's difficult. So whether you like it or not, either way, the president of the country called Zambia will have to be involved. I know Makebi's statement yesterday was received with mixed emotions, but let's calm down. A wish is a wish. And everybody would have said, hey, Lungu bari bakalifia. Hey, Lungu bari bachami street, chichena. But sometimes you have to rise above the cloud, be the bigger person, and show the government, you did me wrong, I don't like it, but for the sake of the nation, I am prepared to be the bigger person and allow the nation to move on. And that, to me, is what I'm looking forward to seeing right now.
I'm asking if we can allow the public to add a voice or two.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi there. Good morning. Good afternoon.
I wear this now?
Yes, please. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Quite would like to know Mwana Nishna Notimina Quisa phone. By Elvis Marandana, President of Zambia Must Prosper, KBF, is listening to you.
KBF addressing yawe oyo bali ku umulabaso ukakulanda kulelanda ba KBF kwina chishinka watu akuli addressing ya chitile banani wa president Mairo yajama shiwi bali shire komaira pokulanda muri addressing yawe yonso kwamboko ya mbile noko ya shintiri gatakwe bati yadama shiwi balandire kuchalo ngatakwe batefo balensunga ba former president kwamba yali nolo bali abamwewo imbi pano tulelanda ngatakwe batulelanda ngatenshira ibazendele molesa umwine limba tulinabo nomba treatment yali ku first na amashiwo twayishire unkwana ba president kwena Mairo tulea mona ifwebe kala charo according parwanding ne office mulonda ero naye kala muno mcharo cha Zambia kulingana kulolesha ba president ba former president wesu meso rest in peace ba former president ba Edgar Lungu kulingana no ba kuma pa butunguru shigwabo treatment eko babasunga muno mcharo fit total difference na yama shiwo to amfuira dressing ayatireba current president wesu ba akainde ichirenge era na ine tona le talk expect ukumfwa muri address iri ino batire ngakwari cha first tona le ukumfwa ko feto mapile babalirapo werero bali miro kwato werero according efo basungira ba former president ne situation yishire tusanga bali ino nchita werero bulalengo kwebati umuntu mutima at least watashani wagweruka kona ngu wachika atwato umutima obukadi
because of time nderamba konga to ashaka conclude as you conclude your point.
Our point on that conclude niyo ine point yande bakeovinya kwebati bali nje ba president wesu bakwata fyo kulombo bwerero for that family yatana nkani yagwesha ko mutima ya volume yakalipa kwa mutima
Natasha Mkwai. So when you do come through, please, you only have 2 minutes. Thank you very much. 2 minutes just to air your views. Would you like to respond to the caller?
No, ndesuminisha vefu balanda ba Elvis because for me, namubwina Christopher imifundire Yesu kufuma kuma Sunday school fwewa kula muma church.
Mkwai.
Ukufika na pali lelo inendi MCF mu church mwandi. Ngana mulu fianya. nangfeni munganda kumukashobe nga walufyanya. The first thing you do, nangu niwe head of the family. Tulalombo obwerero mukashwande. Pali chinachita njerelako. Pakutuli omuntu aishiba ati kwena abalume bandini n'abayisanga muli problem. N'abachita admit ukweba ati bali iluba. That opens a dialogue. It opens a door for conversation. Waisa Cafe 1 ngefiva president waishire mairo ndefwa tuchitemoni in peace, in unity, tuchindike omubiri waba ama remains yaba lungu nefya shala. Yes, fyonsa fitunturu. But ama Zambians, they are not blind. Twale tamba, twale mona, how your government was treating this man. So why don't you start with an apology? Chishishu pile kumunandi aga inde ichilema, just to say twalilubile as a government mwewe na Zambia, and specifically kuli ba mawe Esther Lungu na abana baba Lungu twalilubile twelele niko epo twala tampila apa. That I think can open a door. Even if it's just pushing it ajar, at least it's a step in the right direction. But in Gakwisa Fiat, no, twala moving, we must move on. The rule of law, chavana mulia, no. Turibantunse.
Okay. Hi there, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you. You're live. Would like to know your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm calling you from McKinney. This is Katie.
Katie.
Yes, please.
The president of Zambia must prosper. Listen to you. You may go ahead, please.
So, yeah, I'm watching the interview, and I must appreciate with whatever points he has put across. The only question that I have for KBF is there's an issue to apologize. For me personally, as a Zambian, I'd like to know they should not say the bad treatment. May we know the exact treatment they're talking about when they say he's been treated badly?
Okay, is that all, Kate? Okay, so Kate wants to know the exact treatment when you say he was treated badly.
My sister Kate, I appreciate. Yes, it's important because we must identify what the wrong was.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in the circumstances, dear Kate, it was not just one wrong. Or 1, 2, 3, maybe too numerous to mention. But I'll give you an example, which is very cardinal and poignant to the discussion at hand.
Mm-hmm.
We were dealing with the health of an individual. I've spoken of 3 persons here who are high-profile persons in this country. 2 of them are not with us today. 1, Edith Nawakwi, my late sister. 2, the late Republican President Edgar Lungu. 3, Vashchilekwa, GBM, a brother who I hold in very high esteem, who I was privileged to represent in court. All these people were asking for was to go and be attended to for their medicals. So if you want one ground, it is that ground. Forget the rest. Bantu, when you're dealing with someone's health, you're dealing with umwe wa muntu. So when you have the immigration under the Ministry of Home Affairs blocking exit, you have a problem. Because you can't fly out of the country without using an airport, without the immigration officer stamping your passport.
Yes.
You understand? Now, who controls this? It's Minister of Home Affairs. Ultimately, it's the president. Because these are things we must understand. So I can only give you one example. But if you want more, Kuriba Edgar Lungu, and specifically for my sister Kate, Lungu had a habit of jogging. He was visited 3 or 4 times by the police and he was told, stop jogging, this is political. How can jogging be political, Kate? How? You tell me. I put on my sneakers, my tracksuit in the morning. I want some fresh air, open up my lungs, go out jogging. Some people join me. This is political. How is jogging political? How is visiting a bishop in Kabwe by the late president at a Catholic church political? How is Walungu's attendance of church services political? When you begin to block the movement, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly of an individual such as the former head of state, you are psychologically torturing him.
How did he finally go to South Africa? Was he given permission?
Ultimately, he went by himself because then he was sponsoring himself. The government didn't want to sponsor him. So he went because it was now getting late and he had to say, I am going. And I think the government realized, okay, not sure, let him go because he's paying for himself. The government did not buy his ticket. They did not look after him in South Africa. And I want to thank the South African government. They looked after him.
Producer says there's a call. Hi there, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Valoid Kusolwezi. Kumalandana va president of Zambia must prosper. Va KBF vale umfamkwai.
KBF mshani mkwai.
Valoid mulishani mutende Kusolwezi uko.
Muthelezi mkwai kwa mutende.
Tuatotela.
Mkwai tule papa vevindi vile chitika mu Zambia.
Yeah.
Mkwai kwa chiri kwa chini first time kufimona pukulu wa Rwanda.
Valoid mkwete 2 minutes mkwai, you can go on and share your comments.
Mkwai wa KBF.
Mkwai.
Mla chini walida mchechi.
Mkwai.
Ifintu na fititika. Fili twalolisha pa chintu chimo. Kuna ipere sirubo.
Mkwai.
Irubo tatiyali tapali siya twafa.
Mkwai.
Zambia twakwata imo. Tatokwa tama Zambia abiri.
Chishinka.
Sentrole shepa pali bakateka nchitoyo babombere.
Mkwai.
Desambali acharo. Bali bombere nchitoyo ikulu sana. Kuli bamowa batemwa na mutawamutemo muntu bati nafwa. Kuna chiri shirabapo.
Correct.
Mkwai. So inecho ndelo omba kufie. Kuli bali abalelete kyakulandalanda. Lekeni mubiri waka kateka wesu. Unale muchivote. Kuchira kula eminwe. Eminwe tachatu afwe. Au bachite babi awe. First president oto kwa tamuno Muzambia ni ba Edgar Lungu abachite resign wawera again mu politics. That's why mlewena kwa chipali uwafia. Barupia banda bali ponene bachitana resign tababwere mu politics awe.
Awe tababwere.
Mkwai so moyo afyashi. Isentuweshe emitima panshi tuloleshe abafyashi besaba tushire. Mkwai mashuna chikwata ene.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen. You could use it to give us a call and share your questions and contributions. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. We'd like to know your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is David. I'm calling you from Chizabombo.
Mr. David, please go ahead and talk to Zambia Must Prosper President, KBF.
Thank you very much. Mr. President,
Mkwai.
I've been following what you've been saying, which is equally true. But there are parts of the entire story that you're not narrating to the Zambian people so that they can fully grasp what actually is, or rather has been transpiring. You know, one thing that we need to come to an accord with is that both the late former president and our current president, they were not in good terms. Why?
No.
I might say, when the late president lost power, it was very hard for him to relinquish that power and acknowledge that the fact that Mr. HH was now the president, which brought tension between the two. And that tension was never resolved because the late president, Mr. ECO, never acted as the former head of state, but still was acting as an opposition to the current president. I'm pretty sure you were part of the UPND by then. You are not trying to tell people exactly what you were going through when you were with the UPND. But today, you've completely forgotten what was actually transpiring and not actually telling the full scope of what was happening. You want the president to apologize, which is equally true. But are you actually explaining what the Constitution says about a former head of state that actually comes back in active politics? You said he was blocked at the airport. Was he using a diplomatic passport? Or was he using his own personal passport? These are the questions that have to be answered. You are not answering these questions because, as a former head of state,
David,
if you ask in
was
politics,
that question put to me? Eh?
no, these are the things you need to explain to people.
Mr. David,
You
thank
are
you
saying
for
he was
bringing
blocked.
that question. Before Mr. KBF, he will be able to explain. Is there any other question you have? Hello? Okay. Maybe you would like to proceed as
Yes. Lloyd from Solwezi. I totally agree with the observations that were made by Lloyd, and I can make no comment. But Lloyd, I am one of those people who's a realist. When something happens, I believe that we must begin to move on, but sometimes it's difficult to move on when you don't acknowledge that there must be a point of reconciliation. David from Chililabombwe, I never joined the UPND. I was in an alliance with the UPND as Zambia Must Prosper. So let's clear that up. Yes, my brother, I want to agree with you that there were very, very serious differences between my friend Hakainde Hichilema and the late president. And those were never resolved. I agree. I totally agree. But you see, when I'm on a program like this where David, I answer questions as they are put to me by the people in front of me. And it's not everything that I can talk about. It's dependent on the kind of questions, the angle from which they come from, and how I answer them. So it's not like Pariefio Defis. I've got nothing to hide. In this situation, David, I've got nothing to win. I've got nothing to lose. I am just trying to give information as I have seen it, as I've come across it, and as I know it. With regard to ECL and Hakainde Hichilema, yes, there were differences. They fought. I am agreeable. Do you want me to mention that Hakainde Hichilema put it on record several times, and he told me as a friend that when ECL was in power, he was locked up 15 times? Is that what you want me to say? He told me that. I know that. Okay, but ECL is not here now. Hakainde Hichilema is the president. And his job now is to reconcile the country. So he must be the bigger person. Do you want me to say that during the campaigns, Hakainde Hichilema was being blocked in movement and things? Those things I observed. I know, but have I been asked that question? I was aware of these things. I'm not hiding anything. This information is with me. But depending on the questions that I'm given, I answer. So in Chiresendo Olubadi, me, I'm just answering questions as they are put to me. There are things that I know which were unfairly done to Hakainde Hichilema whilst he was in opposition. I know that. I know that. And he's my friend. Look, I have kept telling people. Some of you people keep telling me, no, I will not deny somebody who's my friend. Definitely. Just like I will not deny that Edgar Lungu was an older brother to me. I will not deny that. And I've had the privilege, like Jackson has said, unfortunately, not so many people have had that opportunity to have known both men. But I'm saying, in the circumstances, Hakainde Hichilema, as president of this country, must be the bigger person. Here's my question to you, David, and the people who are thinking like you. What will the current president lose if he apologizes for his conduct towards the deceased president to the widow and the family of Edgar Chagwa Lungu? What will he lose other than bringing the nation to heel? What is he going to lose? In my humble view, nothing. But he has everything to gain in terms of bringing the nation together and dissolving the impasse which is pertaining to the remains of Edgar Chagwa Lungu, which sit in a foreign country in South Africa right now. So I am being as objective as I can. I may not please everybody with my answers. That I know. It is no more. But the truth of the matter is,
Mr.
I am only answering questions.
Mr. President, there's a gent from Australia who says, good afternoon. It's Jeff Mwanza from Australia. I just want to find out from KBF his position. If the Lungu's family decides to bury the remains of ECL in South Africa, could that be a possibility?
I'll say this, and I want to correct it to what I wanted to tie down. David, like some other people, think everything must be written in the Constitution. But Jeff, Vaipsha question, which I wanted to come to as the last point in answering David.
Mm-hmm.
We have a specific statute, an act, which directs how the government is going to respond in burying a former head of state. It's an act of parliament. It's not in the Constitution, but it's an act, it's a law. So it is there. And one of those laws is the current president, sitting president, first of all, must acknowledge and announce the death of the president. Number one. That was done via the Secretary of the Cabinet. Be it late, 48 hours, 72 hours later, it was done. Second, a period of national mourning must be declared. It was done. Third, there must be a burial of the late former president with honors as former commander-in-chief. Now, that is where we are. The remains of Edgar Lungu are not in this country. No. Burying a former head of state in a foreign country will require a lot of diplomatic juggling, and I'm answering Jeff now. The South African government cannot just accede to the Lungu family's demands that Warefo Kushika wa Lungu is not an ordinary person. Even in death, my answer to Munsha,
yes,
he is not an ordinary person. Even in death, he is a former Republican president. He is a former commander-in-chief. How do you bury such a person in a foreign country when the country of his origin is saying he's free to be buried here with honors? Let's not bring diplomatic rows between countries. Let's not bring drifts. Let's not bring tension between countries. We are actually putting the South African government in a very serious quagmire. Because although the Lungu family wants to look at this as a family private matter, it's not entirely private. There is something by law attaching to that that body of Lungu. And that's where we must have a delicate balance. Hence, my prayer, my appeal, that let's try to marry the culture, our Zambian culture, with the law and its provisions now, and see how we can meet the family and say, we were wrong, tuapapata. Can we have this process completed?
Producer? Hi there, good afternoon.
Hello, Mwatusheni.
Mkwai mwawambashani?
Bwino mulilanda na ba postcards kumpulungu.
Ba postcards kumpulungu.
Mkwai
London na ba KBF wale mkwai.
Ba president besu mwalinda shani mkwai.
Yasikazwe.
Mkwai.
Muli uli mwe.
Awe femo tulisile ningo tanzi mwemu.
Tuli ningo sile mwe.
Awe deza pali mkwai. Femo chino tukulenga kusile. Kumweneleza atuafwe kumafya tuleshingwana nayo muchalo chesi cha country cha Zambia.
Mkwai.
Ibintu ifire kitika simufire pera sino musebanya kusebanya ba president beso abale tuteka out of country ichimfurunganya kiri mu country umyeso. So ifintunga fyatika simufai kase tuapepera pose no kupwa yapo papo abantu pashala abantu so ikufai pase mutende na peace mu country uyu no mutende wabamphoni one Zambia one nation. So Zambia ngatatuika 10 keti tutwale chalo kuntanki. So na chimbi ba president beso abale tuteka bale mfuako ku bantu. Ichalo lishiru tabaka kaweka. Uyunga posa ka idea no yaposa ka idea bale tubika pamongefi ali ba mwana wasa ngabamona basata balande bibabula yali na mashiri basata bale lambda eto babo
avivyo kwene
so ikire kwai okumfa ku bantu kintu kimwe kikankala sana so ito tulelomba ko besatu momupashuwa mushilo wikile mu country yesu ya Zambia fifire kika tatulesekeramo
mkwai
ndio mbako tute conclude Ngatamula ndipo fimbi.
Sa?
Ndero mbako tushite conclude because of time.
Okay, awe na totila kwena lisa pali.
All right, thank you very much. There's a number on the screen that you can call us. Maybe we can pick the last 2 calls or so as we conclude. Hi there. Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon. Your name and where you calling us from?
Ne Bonathan, letumina Makulwansha.
Banathan Kulwansha Mkwai. You can go on, please.
Mkwai. Never have a good chap seva kateka.
Mkwai.
Bushe ifirengere never what we should ko ifirengere umubiri ukana isa mtalo chezita Zambia.
Okay.
Mkwai. Nangu ba family bushe balole la polo juku makuli ba kateka ba HT nangu nishani. Potule pokuisha watu wafoko Mkwai.
Okay.
Maybe because we've partly addressed that, let's see if we can just pick the next call. Hi there, good morning. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from?
My full name is Spalano. They're calling from Copperbelt, Shingola.
Spalano?
Anod.
Oh, Anod. Spalo Anod. Okay. Spalo Anod. Okay. Go on, please.
It's just a simple contribution here towards the matter being discussed right now.
Go on, please.
Maputula Anod.
Oh, we've lost him? Okay, we've lost him. Mr. President, as we come to a close, I've got 2 last questions for you. Gentleman says there's a call. Hi there. Good afternoon.
Sorry.
Hello, good afternoon. Gentleman says there's a call. Hi there. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello.
Mkwai, ni bakalu bakitwe.
Bakalu bakukitwe. Kutuma, you can go on please mlanda na wa KBF.
Awe mwewa fyashi. Eto twalalanda chakwe bati.
Kindly stop listening to us on I don't know if you're using YouTube or Facebook because there's that delay, but today but you can just talk to us.
Okay. Eto nalalanda pomkwai. The network is currently bad. Hello?
London today Mumfwa, just don't pay attention to what you're watching on Facebook right now. Just reduce the volume on Facebook or YouTube.
Okay. Echo ndela ndapo mkwai chakwe bati. Uyu mulimo te unono. Hello? Abantu abali involved bengi. Chikumi n'omuntu onso mwine Zambia onse. So echo point yandindelanda yakwebati ushe ichirengere sana chinshi ichakwebati umubiri wisa mu Zambia emkwai inapuisha
kukumkai.
Thank you very much. Maybe you can just respond to them. Maybe they were not listening.
Yasikazwe na totela sana pafe mwalanda yasikazwe kumbalanga nkumpulumbuko kwa batafuna Abambia senior chiefs. It is important to maintain peace, Muchalo. And I agree with you that we must preserve the peace that our forefathers, Akaunda, Akapwepwe, Amainza Chona, Agrezulu, Watushirire. It's important that we also know, in Tambishe Sungawe in Africa, we must know how to bury Infumu, in Tambalo Kutanga Yafwa. I also agree with you that my friend, the current president, Hakainde Hichilema, must be a bit more open to advice. I am one of those few voices that I think in terms of discussions, I'm open to dialogue. I'm open to discussion. And if the president feels he needs help, maybe as a bridge, that's fine. So when it comes to national duty, and we can simply say we are going to help. So it is important that we preserve this peace. Vanathan kulwansha vaipsheri pushonga vakaluva avapakitwe kutira ichikosele sana ukweba tumubili waba lungu uibwela kuno. Nala mwasuka in the simplest terms so that tuafu ekona bambi maybe abashishi vyain. Ichilengele sana chakweba ulupwa uluaba Edgar Chagwa Lungu makamaka vamayo va Esther Lungu n'abana pali inonshita tabalefwaya ubuteko bube involved mukushika kwaba Edgar Lungu echilengere sana. So UMPK eyo tulefwaya okuchita diffuse, UMPK eyo tulefwa okweba tiwe dissolved, so that nga kwawo kumfwana uli omubiri kutuwabwela kuno nabo mfye chibemba pakutira imbi mailo abantu bakese bati yo nshamfugishe ira wedirimbi chali shani. So the problem is there is a difference of opinion. Family taile fire government ukuba involved. The government is saying by Edgar Lungu, even in death, is not an ordinary person, and the law says to feed to achitefi kuli former head of state. Nomba pope nopo to feed to achita bridge, so that we bring the two factions together, the family on the one side and the government on the other side. I hope Nathan naba kaluba mwatesha nabambia bashachingu mfapa first. So for me, that's where I see the problem. But ngabambi ngaba postcards we nabambi abalandireko na tupepe tien tupepele chalo chesu cha Zambia pakutila omupashi uyuwa confusion ufumepo, so that we can see how we can meet each other halfway. It is important for bena Zambia tulaishi bali onse kwali bana mailo mwebantu. We don't know what tomorrow brings. Family yaba Edgar Lungu nayon defo kuchita emphasize taipele elefi pali ba mayo ba Esther Lungu, taipele elefie pali tasila. No, ba Edgar Lungu bali kwetoko ba fumine before tabala upa ba mayo ba Esther. Bali kwata ba yama babo, bali kwata ma brothers, bali kwata ma cousins, bali kwata na nkashi yabo na ma nephews nabo bene nabakwata mulu bali mulichi. So it's very important that we go beyond the immediate family and also extend this to the extended family. Eka tradition natural ndapo ako and see bali abantu finch balela ndapo finch benga fwaya fichitike kumubiri ulya echikankale echo. So it is important na papata sana mwewe na Zambi that won't say to become a tempers panshi tubafya batola ukakwata nakali mutatoa kwa tamano tatoa kwa toko tuafuma tetitole shika fye anyhow tufire tu ashika according to our tradition and according to the laws of this country. Epalimpika pomkwai.
Thank you very much for your guidance, Mr. President. As we come to a close, I've got two last questions, and
Please,
I don't have a lot of time. I would like us to just maybe answer them quickly, so that I can also let you go. Your office is very busy. So you've been involved in terms of helping some presidents, yes. End presidency. I wanted to find out, after all your efforts in helping these, I'd call three of them actually, I'd give him names, get elected. There has not been any official reward in terms of an appointment which was given to you. I want to find out, is this by design, or you are somehow overlooked for various reasons?
No, it's just by design. I mean, I had promised Assad that I was going to join his government in 2016. That we had agreed.
This is prior to 2011?
Yeah.
And then you told him I can only join your government in 2016?
Yes.
Okay.
But unfortunately, lo and behold, he left us in 2014. So, there it is. It's gone. My older brother, the 6th Republican president, Edgar Lungu, I know that I had been appointed once or twice, and letters were written, but I don't want to go into that.
Really?
I could have been in his government, but I said, it's okay.
You denied the appointments twice.
Let's just say that I didn't take up the appointment.
Okay. And
I might add, if you want to know, that even this current government, my friend wanted me to be in his government. Why the way? I still said no. This particular one was just I didn't want. Because I told him I just came to help you.
what was
UPND, I just said no. I came to help you. PF, I would have been in government, but I didn't want. Maybe it was God's design. Yeah, we needed this outside force with the various experiences to come and sit in front of the Zambian people at this time and say, my experiences have been, and this is what I think we should do.
Are there any reasons in particular why you didn't take up the appointments in the PF?
Some are personal.
Some are personal. Maybe we have
Some are
some that are not. Maybe the professional ones. Yes.
Professional ones.
Are you able to share with us? Maybe not the personal ones, but maybe the professional ones. Maybe the personal ones can be.
You know what I liked about the late Republican president, Lungu, was he was very good at private meetings. So I gave him my reasons, and I would rather they remain as private.
Okay. Why haven't you taken up an appointment that was given to you in the current regime?
UPND? Mm-hmm. No, this one I didn't want. I told President Hakainde Hichilema that I was there to assist him. I didn't want to belong. One of the biggest problems with Hakainde Hichilema is he told me that accepting an appointment meant that I should collapse Zambia Must Prosper into UPND. Meaning there will be no Zambia Must Prosper. We should be part of the UPND, and I told him no. Again, it was principle. I just said I can't. Because for me, I didn't see the need for everybody to belong to one basket. Then there will be no opposition.
There was no way of you keeping Zambia Must Prosper but still work with him?
That's not what he wanted. Demand power hungry, so Kadia?
Yeah, but the nation is no nation if it doesn't have any opposition.
Exactly.
My last question to you, Mr. President.
Yes.
There has been a long-standing rumor suggesting that you used a State House letterhead during Sata's presidency without authorization to solicit for funds from well-wishers.
A State House what?
State House letterhead.
Letterhead?
Yes.
However, Jackson. No, I won't even allow you to finish the question.
Allow me to finish the question?
No. I've never had access to State House stationery.
But if you allow me to finish the question.
No, let's not mislead the Zambians. I will not allow you. No, nakan.
And there's another part of the question that I would like you to hear.
No.
That I would also want
Because it's a lie, Jackson. It's a lie.
If you allow me to read the last part of the question,
there is no way I was going to be raising funds for Basata when he's already in government. No. The whole thing is a hoax. Stationary. State House stationary to go and raise funds. No.
I'm asking if you can allow me to finish the last part of the question.
Because it's a lie. But you can finish.
You have not heard. Yes. Without authorization to solicit funds from well-wishers on the pretext that you were acting on behalf of the president when in fact you were not. That's a rumor. And it is also alleged that you did the same after President HH's victory in 2021, which may be the reason why both men may have overlooked you for to work with them. Even for HH's, there was still nothing like that?
No. Why am I going to be raising funds for UPND when they're already in government? The whole thing, come on. You raise funds before elections, not after. When someone is in power, money comes. Should I tell you that? It goes without saying, money comes. You don't need to be raising money when you're in State House. No. Well-wishers come. Some people want you to be their friend. Suddenly they want to throw envelopes in front of you. That's a known fact. Why am I going to be raising money for a person who's already in power? Why? And besides that, let me finish. That whole question is based on an assumption. But I'll tell you maybe where the rumor is coming from. Before UPND got into power, I was on a visit to the Copper Belt. Okay? As you recall, Hakainde Hichilema was not allowed to visit certain places during the run-up to elections.
Yes.
So that time, I told him, Kopala Nkumandi, Naraya, Nganawa Kukanya, Wendea. We had 5-6 radio programs lined up on the Copper Belt. Well-wishers who wanted to donate money to the UPND knew I was on the Copper Belt. So they visited me. And they told me, we want to donate money to the UPND and whatever was going on. And I said, go ahead. We need all the funds that we can get. Whilst I was on the Copper Belt, I finished all the radio programs. There was no money coming. So I left. When I got back to Lusaka, a phone call came. Oh, that meeting, we have managed to collect 800,000 well-wishers, no names mentioned. 800,000, that's on record. I said, okay, give me 5 minutes. I called the Alliance, UPND Alliance. There is this 800,000. Okonaile Copper Belt, they've now managed to put funds together. Where do I take it? Where do they take it? Womilupi, who was chairman of the Alliance president, told me we don't have an account for UPND.
Oh, as an alliance.
As an alliance. So you can receive the money on behalf of the alliance. Is that the money you're referring to? Is that the rumor? No, let me finish. So that money was received and it was accounted for to the alliance. And I have a receipt. I still have the receipt. So if anybody is saying that I took money from UPND, woofy. That's the only money that I ever raised on behalf of UPND. Might I add that everything I did for Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND Alliance, during my time and association with them, I used my money, I used my motor vehicles, I used my time and my service and my political skills to help him get into power. Nothing else. So, I went to raise money. I challenge anybody who can come and put a figure here. It was just that 800,000. And I know where the money came from people on the Copper Belt. No names mentioned. We don't mention well-wishers because we don't want to put them in trouble. That's all.
Mr. President, I'd like to thank you so much.
As for the SATA one, it's a lie, complete lie.
There was nothing
How
even
alike. How
alike.
do I go and get a State House letterhead? State House letterhead ingatabanjikata. Padi inonstandi pano. Vasata mwaliwesho for bali mu Vasata. You would steal a paper from Vasata. Vasata would have picked up for Wadi and gave now with your letterhead paper. I would have found the police here. You can't play with King Cobra. No, that's a lie.
It's a good clean. It was out there, and I'm glad that I could hear it from you.
Yeah, no. It's a good question, but I said even before you finish, Buffy, because you're saying it's a rumor.
No, you need to be very careful when you're asking questions like this to a lawyer, so it might complicate life. Is there anything you would like to say to the Zambians right now, and also going forward as we come to a close?
No, my prayer in all this is that we jump over this impasse that we have found ourselves in as a nation, because it's not looking good out there. We are not an island as a country. And we've got diplomats here. We've got international corporations, business associates. They're watching this and they're reporting to their various countries, to their friends, and saying, this is what's going on in Zambia, this and that. There's always this headline and that headline, and it's not looking good at all. So I am still on my knees in my small way. My Ova Esther, my sister Tassila, Chiesu, Dadiso, the family of the Lungus, the uncles, the brothers, the cousins, nephews, please come together, discuss whatever you can discuss, put your terms and conditions across, but let us bury the former Republican President Mumuchinshi as you've heard from the various callers, Mbala, Solwezi, Luansha, Kitwe, Ndola, there are a lot of people that want this to be put to an end. Others who didn't call. Everybody's worried. Muliko umusevanya, muliko na ka confusion. But we should rise above all this as a nation and ensure that we put back our nation to where it's supposed to be. We've done this before. Let's do it. Together. In unity, in love. Mr.
President, thank you so much for making time for us.
I should thank you for making time to visit me. Thank you to the viewers as well.
Thank you for also allowing us here. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
We'd like to, also appreciate you, the viewers, for being here, sending all those contributions. I know most of you tried to call even from outside the country. I could see the international calls, but thank you so much for being part of this. And also, you could send in your contributions on various platforms you are watching from our sponsors, 9 Years Media, as well as Wami TV. Until next time, it's bye-bye for now.